I'd just like to welcome all the guys that are watching this into the shed, and this is where a lot of our yarns happen. It's been really good because we sit down here as a couple of old blokes and just reminisce over good things, bad things, and just about everything else that goes on out there in the world. Marius, you've been in Australia for about 25 years.
That's correct.
So tell us a little bit about how you came here and then what Australia means to you.
Yeah, I first landed in Australia for my first visit was on New Year's Day of 1996. And I spent 3 weeks in Australia. In that 3 weeks, I bought 2 sugarcane farms up in Bundaberg, and then went back to South Africa, informed my family about it. And we came out as a family. I came in June 1996. I moved over and started farming, and my family arrived more or less in December and January of 97. Now, the family consists of 2 boys who were both married at that stage and a daughter that was still studying up to the end of 1996. So, yeah, we started farming sugarcane in Bundaberg, and yeah, we came over as rich people, and we became very poor very quickly.
How did that happen?
Yeah, when we came over, we had 110% of our irrigation water when I bought the farms, and within 6 years it went down to 5%. And the bank asked me to give them a budget, and I said, to do what? And they said, no, we need a budget. I said, I can't give you a budget. I can't farm. I've got no water. They said, no, but go and ask the government for some money and for a cheap loan and plant some sugarcane. I said, with what? I've got no water. So at that stage, that was after 6 years, when I came over, we were going to buy everything cash when we came. But then just as we moved over, the South African rand just plummeted because of stupid things that politicians said, and we lost a big percentage of our money there. And then we found we had to use money, long our other money over, and which was, we had to pay 10% for everything and take very risky deals with money. And yeah, so we landed up with a lot of debt when we came. And after 6 years, the banks said to me, because I wouldn't give them a budget, that they want their money. They're not renewing my loans, because I only had my loans with the bank were for 6 years. And that was it. I never defaulted on a payment. I never defaulted on interest payments. I improved the farm. I put up 2 center pivots, and they were paid for by the 6 years. And they said, no, we want our money. So they took the farms. They tried to sell them. Nobody turned up for the sale. None of my neighbors came to the sale, and the bank said, well, you better take it back. So I took the farms back, and in the meantime, I found a job down in Melbourne, and I was living in Melbourne, and then sold the farms from there with a lot of stress. It wasn't easy. It was a difficult time. But the most difficult time we've had was after 4 years in Australia. My eldest son's wife decided that she wasn't going to stay in Australia. She went back to South Africa. He wasn't prepared to go back with her. And he went and spoke to her and tried to bring her back, and she didn't want to budge. And he said, well, then you better divorce me so I can marry another woman. And that is exactly what happened. And yeah, up to very recently, that was the most difficult thing that I've ever experienced in my life, is losing my beautiful, the daughter-in-law. She was one of those characters that just came and crawled into your heart and just sat in your heart. And she was just such a lovely girl. And yeah.
Marius, we might jump forward.
Yep.
And we're going to pick up where the grandchildren have been in your life.
Yeah, okay. As I said, the whole family came over, and my daughter came over with us then when she finished her studies, and because I had a permanent residency permit, she got permanent residency. And she wanted to go back to South Africa to get married. And I said to her, no, you've got to stay 2 years and get your citizenship, and then you can go back. And that's what she did. And it took us 18 years to coach them back. And 3 of my grandchildren were born there. And yeah, it was hard not having these little toddlers and babies around you. We did go over frequently because I still had a lot of business there to tie up, and yeah, so that was the one lot. I then lost my job after 6 years in Melbourne. I was fired because of I wouldn't be politically correct, and yeah, so I got a temporary job with him up in far north Queensland. My son was my boss then. He was the livestock manager for a chicken company in Queensland, and I went up to Mariuss and I stayed there for 3 months. And in the meantime, before I was fired, we applied for a farm here in Brisbane, and in the meantime, this farm came up, and yeah, I moved to Brisbane on the 18th of July in 2008, and I've been here ever since. And yeah, I'm very happy, and yeah, God's been very, very good to us. You know, my wife and I have started over in life a couple of times. One other day when we've got more time, I'll go into more detail about it. But yeah, we had to start over again after losing the farms in Bundaberg. And yeah, we own our own home. We've got a bit of money in the bank, and I'm still working. I'm 75 now and still enjoying every day of it. And just loving Australia.
You've had some of your grandchildren come and visit you about 2 years ago, but somebody was up a ladder. What happened? What's that story about?
Yeah, my farm manager was on leave. It was just around Christmas time. And I had the 3 grandchildren in the chook shed with me, one on a tractor, the other 2 walking in front of the tractor, shooing the chickens away, and I was up on a ladder fixing a feeder line. And I came down the ladder and decided I was on ground level when I wasn't. Stepped back and yeah, fell on my back and broke my L3 vertebrae. So I was crawling around on the floor, bellowing like a bull, and the kids thought I was working on the feeder line. They just passed me with a tractor and carried on. So yeah, I had to then call the farm manager back to come and take over from me, but I could only get hold of him on Christmas Day. This was the day before Christmas that I came off the ladder. I still had to do all the work that day with this broken vertebrae, and then also Christmas Day. I just leaned very heavily on my wife and the 3 grandkids, and yeah, got through it. And then the farm manager was back, and well, I must say, I praise the Lord. My back is now better than it's ever been.
That's so good.
Had back problems since I was about 28, and always lower back pain, and now not a thing.
Now, Marius, your relationship with Margaret, where would you be with, or how would you get on without that beautiful lady in you?
Most probably cut my wrists. It's, the biggest blessing in my life is that God blessed me with a wife that I did not deserve. She's my everything. And I don't know what I would do without her. Yeah, she's actually she's running the lot. I'm just a labourer, and it's just fantastic to have such a blessing in life. We've been married 51 years last December, and it is just, we're still on honeymoon.
A lot of months back, we were talking about why we appreciate our wives so much and what's the strength in the relationship.
Oh, I think it's total trust. I can't call it anything else. It just, I trust her implicitly and she trusts me implicitly, and it just, and of course respect. You know, we've got to treat our ladies with respect and love them. Now, we've just got a very open relationship, and my wife is my eldest son said one day, he passed a comment, he said that Mom is honest to the point of embarrassment.
And just knowing you guys, it's been such a tremendous thing, because the wisdom that comes out of these guys is just, it's huge, absolutely huge. Marius, this last year, would you like to take us through this last year?
Yeah, it's my second son. Last year on the 16th of June, he was diagnosed with colon cancer. He was the healthiest guy you can think of. He was born prematurely. He was under 4 pounds when he was born. And 49 years ago, a doctor told me, this baby is going to die. Well, the baby lived for 49 years. And then we got this shocker. He asked his wife to take him to hospital. It was on a weekend, a Sunday night or something. And his colon was totally blocked. And they wanted to remove the whole colon and put him give him a bag. And he said, no, hang on. Let's just pursue some other avenues. And can't you put a stent in? And they said they don't think it will work because it's on the bend. But they put the stent in and they got the colon drained, but then they had to leave him with a stent for 3 weeks so the colon could retake its shape, because the one side was blown up because of the blockage, so that they could take the part out that was cancerous and rejoin it with the rest of the part. Now, I don't know whether that was the 3 weeks that caused the problem or what. When they operated, they removed 300 millimeters of his colon. They said to him, oh, they got it all, but the colon was already attached to the spleen. So they decided to put him on chemo just in case, there was a problem. When he went for his first chemo treatment, they said to him, you're the epitome of health. You won't have a problem. He went through 6 chemo treatments. The chemo never affected him. He didn't lose his hair. He kept on working, kept on farming. He's also got a mine up in Emerald, north of Emerald there, or west of Emerald. and Rubyvale. And between the farm and the mine, he just kept going. And every time you see him, he went through 6 chemos, and they did a scan, and they said to him, sorry, mate, this chemo is not working. There's spots in your liver. So they changed his chemo. And after the 3rd one, they did a scan again and said to him, it's not working either. By now, he's lost his hair, but he just kept on working. He was never sick. And if you ask him how you're going, he'd say to you, why? Am I sick? I'm not sick. He never owned the cancer. He also went up to his mine and kept on working there. And they said to him, sorry, we can't help you. And if there is a new treatment that comes along, we'll keep you in mind. He was up at the mine for about 3 months, I think, and putting in equipment and things like that, and running around up ladders and carrying on. And then one day his mom was talking to him on the phone, and he said he thinks he pulled a muscle in his calf. And 2 days before they were supposed to come back, he said to his wife, I'm not feeling too good. I think we must go back home. They came back on the Thursday, and he said to her, don't phone anybody, don't tell them we're back. I just want to relax for a couple of days, and then we'll let them know we're back. And by the Sunday, when he was supposed to be back, he was in hospital. It wasn't a pulled muscle in his calf, it was a thrombosis. And they put him on blood thinners and other medication, which made him very, very sick. And yeah, to make a long story short, 3 weeks later, he was dead. He died. Tomorrow will be a month ago. And yeah, it's for me, it was very hard. His mom handled it better than me. For the 3 weeks that he was crook, because I lost my father-in-law and also my eldest brother to cancer, I knew what was coming. I just couldn't talk about it. I just fell in a heap every time that somebody tried to talk to me about it. I mean, I sat here with Vern and just cried. And yeah, at his celebration of his life, I just told the people what my take was on his life. And his life, he was still a very young boy when he accepted Jesus as his savior. And he was serious about his belief from the word go. He wanted to become a pastor. And then when he finished school, he was a very bright student. I wanted him to go to university and become a doctor, but he didn't want to. He said to me, no, if you haven't got a job for me, I'll go and find one. He wanted to go preaching on the streets, and I said to him, no, you're not doing that. You're either going to study or you're going to work. If you want to become a pastor, but go and study first. I'm not letting you be a tramp. And so he started farming with me, and yeah, he was farming nearby where we are here. Lived about 15 kilometers away from where I live. His farm and my farm is about 11 kilometers apart. And yeah, I told the people that came to his celebration, we couldn't have a lot of people there because of COVID, and also it was his wish that it was only family and very close friends. But then also there was a couple of non-believers in the audience, and I just felt that, you know, years ago, some people only went to to church very seldom, and that was for weddings and funerals. And nowadays, people aren't getting married, so there's no weddings to get them into a church. And people don't have funerals either. It's cremations. And so I just felt that, you know, people don't get the gospel at these funerals anymore. And I felt compelled to explain to the people there, for the benefit of the couple of people that was there that I knew wasn't Christians, and some that have backslidden. And yeah, I just told them what my boy's life was, and his life was built on 2 pillars, and the one was John 3:16. God so loved the world that he gave his only begotten Son, that whoever believes in him will be saved. And the other one was Romans 10, verse 9 and 10, that if you believe in your heart that Jesus is the Son of God and that God raised him from the dead, and you confess with your mouth, you will be saved. And that was the 2 pillars. And yeah, I just emphasized that. And yeah, my boy lived very close to the Lord all his life. And, you know, after they stopped his chemo, he visited me one day and started talking about, he said to us that the best thing that's ever happened to him in his life was getting this cancer. And it's a funny thing to say for somebody that's got a death sentence, because they told him they can't help him anymore. And he then explained to me there was always, when he approached God the Father, he could get up to a certain point. And then there was, as though there was a gate between him and the Father. And he could never go through this gate. And then when he was got this death sentence, which he didn't accept, I don't know where he got this from, but he just got this revelation of the gate. It's like a farm gate with the 4 sides and the 2 cross braces in between. Now, unfortunately, I didn't bring it with tonight, and maybe I should have, because it was very revealing what he said there, what the Father said to him, what his life must be like. And I know the one of those braces was no attachments. And can you remember what the others were, Vern?
No.
Because I actually called Vern in to come and listen to this, and Vern was also just flabbergasted with what this kid came out with. And then he said, and as soon as he accepted that, he could open the gate and go straight up to the Father. And yeah, that is the what would you call it? The mindset that my boy was in when he left this world. Now, a couple of hours before he died, just before he went into a coma, my wife and I visited him in the the facility. What's it? Palliative care facility. Yeah. And we said to him, Jason, you going ahead this time. Previously, I've always gone ahead and they followed. This time, you going ahead. And just to tell the family that's there that we're on our way. So, and he could, at that stage, he couldn't speak, but he nodded, and yeah, he was happy to do that.
Marius, we often talk about the younger men of our generation. You often have things to say to my boys. What is the message that you'd leave with the men of, you know, don't let a chance go by?
Yeah, I think it's important. If we go to Romans 10, verse 10, where it says that you've got to testify with your mouth. You've got to talk. And we had a life group meeting at my house today, and I asked the people, well, you know, when last did you testify to somebody that's not a Christian, somebody that's outside of the church, about Jesus being the Lord, that he's been crucified, he's risen? And oftentimes we stop there, but that's not the end of the gospel. The end of the gospel is he's coming again, and he's coming for us. He's not leaving us here. And that is the full gospel, is that he was born of a virgin, he died on the cross, he was raised after 3 days, he went up to the Father, he's sitting at his right hand, and he's coming back to come and fetch us to him.
So back to our relationship with our boys, your relationship with my boys, you know, telling the stories with Caleb, Elias, Luke.
Yeah, it's just very easy for me to relate to Vern's boys, because Vern and I are very close. We were just talking before we started the Zoom meeting that we don't need to lie to each other, because we trust each other. And yeah, I've got a soft spot for especially 2 of Vern's boys and 1 of his girls. You know, he's got a whole bunch of them. He's got 7 kids, and what a family. And yeah, some of the other kids I don't know so well, because they're not living close by. But yeah, these guys are just, yeah, we've got a good relationship.
And Marius, it's out of that relationship that we gain the strength to keep on going.
Yeah, I just hope that the input that I'm trying to put into your boys' lives will be a positive one.
Absolutely, you can guarantee that.
And yeah, that's my aim in life, is to, whatever I know, I've got to pass on to other people. It's no use taking your knowledge and your wisdom with you into the grave. That's wasted knowledge. So I've always trained up people that worked with me. People never work for me. They always work with me. And yeah, I was the first South African that had a farm with this company, and I think we're 8 now, and they're all tied up to me. I didn't train them all. My boys trained some of them. But yeah, we've got a very good reputation in the company. And yeah, I always feel that if they perform worse than me, I failed. So if they don't beat me in the competition in the company, if they're not better than me, then I fail.
So true. Now, is there anything that you'd like to say to the different men that are listening here?
No, not really. I don't know many of them, but yeah, I'm open to questions, to any questions from anybody.
But before we go into that question time, Simon, we might just make it a wrap here and say thank you so much to Marius. Another great time in the shed. And if you'd like to play his song, and then we could come back and have some questions, perhaps after the song. How would that go for you, Simon? Back to you.